Welcome back, graduates. Today I'm going to show you how to set up and configure the ingredient switcher on Ecomify Theme. So what that looks like is if you go into the features, scrolling at the very bottom here, it's going to look something like this. And so this is what it'll look like in the theme editor. And when I go outside of the theme editor, this is what it will look like going into features, scrolling at the very bottom. This is just for demonstration purposes, like so. So you have the text to change. You also have an image. And you also have a ingredient. We call this the ingredient switcher because this section would be most predominantly used for showcasing ingredients. If you have different foods with sugar, fat, trans fats, other ingredients that you want to incorporate in a column here, you definitely can. So if you have another product, let's just go to another product and it switches and displays another image here, while you can still see the content is changed here. So for demonstration purposes, we have this one, we have this content here. We also have an option for the call to action, which is here. And then also other ingredients, the content, the table changes here, and also the image as well. So I'm going to show you today how to set that up. So when you go into the theme editor, you're going to go and we're going to scroll at the very bottom. I believe I have 25 sections here. So I'm just going to start this brand new for you guys. So we're going to go delete this and then we're going to just go and save. Once we do that, we're going to go in all the way. If you haven't already, go outside of your theme editor and just customize. From there, you can go onto any page. This is a section that can be on any page as well. So it can be product page, collections, other custom pages if you decide. But we're going to put it on here just because we have almost capped out at the 25 sections per page, and that is a Shopify limit, not a theme limit. So I'm going to go add a section, and I'm just going to start typing in switcher or ingredients right here. There is a few things to take note of this. So here, this is what it looks like in the theme editor. I'm going to go and click save. Once I click save, it basically says, okay, I want this section here. In addition to this, you have the headline, which is this. You also have the other media alignment left or right. So that means if you switch over, the image will be first and then the table will be following that. Now, as you see, it's back and forth. So what I can do, just refresh this and either save it or refresh it, but it'll give me the settings. So I have alignment left or right. I can just go here and then save it. And then once I save it, then I'll see the change. This is a more intense section, so please stay tuned with this. So I like this because customers read from left to right, so I like the table on the left. Here, then we have container or fluid. Container means within the container, fluid means full width of the screen. In addition to that, we gave you background color options, so I'll keep it nice and light so you can kind of see what it looks like. And then we also gave font title size for font or for mobile and for desktop. So that's this. So I'll bring it to 5 and kind of show you what that looks like as well. Then we also have the guests and members. So if someone is logged in or someone's logged out, you can specify if they're able to view that. In addition to the section settings itself, have padding and margin spacing. So padding is a space within the element and margin is a space outside of the element. So we'll do equal spacing. We can do like 8 and 8. And then we'll click save. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky, so stay tuned for this. Scrolling all the way down, we have blocks here. You'll see add block, we have an image, we have an option, we have a comparison, we have a row, and then we have a call to action button. And when I click on image, I can go into here and click on, let's say, for example, I want this image. So this image basically is stating this. I have an image, I can choose a thumbnail, and once I click save, I'll be able to see it. And then I have image orientation option, and then I have the option value. Option value is very important for these blocks because this tells you what content is going to be displayed on what view. So when I go and click save, I'm going to get the first image here. Now I have an option. And this option view matches the first one that I chose and assigned for the theme image here. So when I go to options, I have the option label, and that's themes dropdowns. So this means it's just option 1. When I go and create another one, I'm going to put it under as 2 and kind of categorize it that way so you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, add an image. I'm going to add a different image so you can kind of see what to expect and what it will look like. And then I'm going to go and click save. Now, once I click save, once it loads, sorry, I don't want it to be 1 because I already have it as 1. So I need to change it as number 2. Give Shopify a little bit to update with that. So now this means that when I have another option, it's going to show this option, this model, because I've set it to option 2 display. So everything that you want displayed in option 2 has to be displayed in the option value as 2. And also one other thing to take note is best to save this and then view it outside of the theme editor. So right now I have just this. I have the title. I have this option. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create another option. So you can organize this too to kind of keep you organized. And I'll save this. Now, the thing about this is the reason why option 2, this image has not populated is because I have not created another option block for this to say display this option. So I'm going to go add a block and I'm going to add an option and I'm going to just drag it over here just to keep it really nice and organized. And I'm going to put it as number 2 and it'll look like this, but it's not broken. You just want to continue and click save. So once we have this, we have now 2 options. I'm just going to name this something else so we can kind of identify it during the demonstration here. So we have option here, that we have the second option because we have this as here. And so the black bottle should populate because I had set that in the option, in the image here for 2. So when I go into 2, this displays now. Now, the reason why when I switch over back and forth to this having the table and the call to action is because I have in the comparison, it displaying only for option value set to 1. So if I wanted to show the comparison for this drop down, I'm going to have to go in and add another comparison table and a row and set the option value for 2. So all the content has to be associated with that same option if you want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in comparison. I can kind of organize this a little bit, continue adding on, and I'm just going to say theme just so we can kind of identify it. Again, this section probably works really well when you have products that have ingredients and things like that. So that was the sole source of why this section here. So now we have theme when populating for option 2. Again, you can have 2 or 3 or 4 options if you'd like. You just got to create them here. So now let's go in, and I'm just going to kind of run through a little bit more. Let's go into here, and I'll do one more. And I'm going to do this as, I'm going to do this as 2. So now all this content here is going to only display in the option 2. So the comparison and option and everything has to be aligned with the same content that you want to display. So instead of sugar, I'll do trans fats. I'm going to do fats. I'm going to do crude, just so you guys can kind of see what it's going to look like. So I save this. Now, what I'm basically saying is in option 1, this one that I named Ecomify Premium Theme, show this content, and that's where all of these are. So you want to look at option value and make sure that you have it numerically set correctly. So now when I go and switch over to Ecomify Theme, I should see a different table right here. So I see this table here. So here's this, here's this, here's this, and here's this. So let's go and kind of verify what that looks like. I have fat, sugar, protein. When I go into here, I have sugar. But now let's go in and see why sugar. So now you see that there's sugar and then there's sugar. Like right here, one of the things is you can have a different label for the desktop too. So I'm just going to do this as here. I'm going to do this as crude so we can kind of see that as well. And fast. So I wanted to show you that you have to, we gave you even more fine tuning of settings and details for mobile and desktop display for this. So we have sugar, fat, protein. That's what we have for these, for the first option value, sugar, fat, and protein, and they're all displayed there. Now, for option 2 value, we're going to display sugar, crude, fat, and trans fat, for example. So let's go, since I already saved it, refresh this, and I saved it here. So when I go into this option here, Ecomify Theme, I see sugar, crude, fat, and trans fat. And you can also change out the grams and also the text here as well for the table. So we have that here, and we have that here, and here for mobile and desktop. Now, let's say, for example, I want notice how on the first option, I have a call to action, but on the second one, I don't. That is an option as well. So I just go in, add a call to action, and I name it as number 2. Remember that call to action you can't have call to action on the same option value, and you can't have comparison on the same option value in addition to the option name as well. The only option values that you can have repeated are the rows. Like for example, I have 3 rows, I have 4 rows, and they're all saying the same option value here. However, for comparison here and for image and for call to action, I can only have it one set. I can only have it labeled to that number one time in that option. So this is option 2, and I can just, put in a link here, brands. I'm going to click save. And then let Shopify load a little bit. And then after that, I'm going to go onto mobile, just show you what that looks like down here as well. So you have the image always on top, and then you have the text, you have the drop down and the table that goes with it as well. And then you also have the option add to cart. So when I go and remember when I did add to cart, or when I did the call to action button option 2 to brands, it's going to go to my brands located at the very bottom of my left where you see it going to that certain link. Again, you can go in, add another drop down. So to do that, I'm going to go and do an image. I can just do even one more image like this, for example. And I'm going to name this 3 because now I'm setting a third option. So the option I'm going to do here is just, for example, shoes. I'm going to set this as 3. Just already saved this so you can see what it looks like. So now I have an image and I have an option. So now we have shoes. And this obviously isn't shoes, but it'll populate to whatever image you want. And then now I don't have a table, so it leaves blank. So I want to go in and do a comparison table and then do a couple rows preceding that as well. Sure, this can get a little messy if you say, but if you keep it nice and organized, it'll get really nice. And it can stay pretty organized. You can keep it as all of them being image, and then option, or you can do it as a set. That might be a nice organized way as well. So we have this. Let's actually delete some of these. And then we can click save. And one other thing is when you see all of these and you see right now, this is not a bug. What you see is, oh, wow, there's a big table now for the Ecomify Premium, but I didn't want that. It's because when I created the rows just now, they're automatically set to the option value. You got to change it to say the 3 if I want to display that in the 3. So save, I'm going to click save. And then now when I refresh, go outside of my theme editor, I'm going to refresh and I have 3 options to choose from. And now it displays right here. And that is essentially how to set up the ingredient switcher on Ecomify Theme.